Welcome everyone back to weekly weather updates, and in today's video we're going to have a look at the latest from the live radar with the UKV, have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days. So we do have quite a few batches of heavy showers and thunderstorms over the next few days, as we have got low pressure in off the Atlantic sweeping away the hot and humid air. That humid air may just about linger in the east, but that will just fuel some of that rain and some of those storms. We're seeing a few around today. We've seen more systems around, especially through Sunday into Monday, where it could be really quite lively in a few locations. However, as we progress through this upcoming working week, things are only going to be turning warmer, and it could even be pretty hot as we head towards next weekend. So have a look at the latest on that risk of some hotter weather through the latter parts of this upcoming week. It is looking likely as well, just generally the second half of August is looking warmer than average, with temperatures widely in the low to mid 20s. That looks pretty much bang on now. The only uncertainty we have is whether we'll see some showers and storms mixed in within that hotter air, and whether those temperatures will climb even higher, as there are some runs still showing temperatures into the low 30s. So we'll explore all of that in the second half of the video. So do remember, if you enjoy my videos, make sure you like and subscribe, and remember to follow me on Twitter as well, the link's in the description. So to start on the live radar, you can see we've got a big array of heavy showers around at the moment. They are sort of conforming into lines where they do slowly move eastwards. The best places across parts of the Republic of Ireland to the west and the south, and for the far east of England at the moment, and the far south as well. Even areas where we've got more extensive showers, they aren't that widespread. Plenty of areas avoiding them or just seeing them pass by very quickly. So quite heavy cells here, or thunderstorms just to the north of Peterborough, heading towards Skegness. A few heavier showers towards Oxford, up towards the North Midlands into Yorkshire, all the way towards the Scottish border, and again some more heavy thundery showers across eastern Scotland as well, and a few showers across Northern Ireland. So nothing too severe today, but a few of these showers are really quite lively. It's looking likely as we head through the next 24 to 48 hours, we're going to see more extensive areas of rain, especially through parts of England and Wales, especially West Midlands, perhaps into Wales. Could see some real heavy rain as we do progress through the next couple of days. Haven't got any weather warnings issued at the moment, but there is the risk that we could see rain or thunderstorm warnings issued, as we do have some really lively precipitation charts being shown. Away from the showers, the temperatures aren't actually too bad today. In the far east, especially towards sort of East Anglia, you can see temperatures still into the low 20s, 23 or 24. Elsewhere, we're high teens, or just about getting towards the 20-degree mark. So just about getting towards average for the time of year, as we are in a slightly cooler period now, before that humidity and warmth returns from around the Wednesday, Thursday point, especially for southern areas, but it is likely to spread northwards as well. Now, if we do go over to the UKV and have a look at the precipitation and the temperature over the next 5 days, you can see more extensive rain was moved in overnight, but for most areas it has broken apart through the morning and through the rest of the afternoon, just an array of heavy, thundery showers. Through the evening, those showers will fizzle away in places, but still continue in the north and the west. And as we head into Sunday, we see some more extensive showers break out in places, and maybe a bit more persistent rain for western parts of Scotland. But if we look out to our southwest, this is the batch of really heavy rain that could arrive through Sunday evening into Monday. And you'll see it does intensify quite rapidly overnight. Look at that, some real bright colours appearing against these West Midlands, Wales, southwest England really get peppered with this rain. We see more extensive rainfall spreading through Monday morning into the afternoon. You can see a real heavy batch of rain through southwest England, the Midlands, Wales, up towards northern and eastern parts. These are convective systems, so it is quite a lot of uncertainty with the exact intensity. Still about 2 days away from this moving in, and its positioning slightly further eastwards or slightly further westwards make a huge difference between the weather on Monday. For example, East Anglia in the southeast could just about see a few heavy showers, but most of the time wouldn't be too bad. But further westwards, you can see really horrible and some really bright colours appearing here, indicating really torrential rain where it does occur. That will sweep through Monday evening into some lingering heavy thundery showers, especially across the West Midlands, North West England and Wales through the evening before it all fizzles away into Tuesday. see some more heavy showers, but much more scattered and isolated further northwards. And then into Wednesday, things start to turn a little bit better. High pressure is building in, still a few showers around, and the temperatures will start to rise with the humidity as well. Now, if you put on the upper air temperatures, you can see just about some warmer air just lingering in the far east and southeast, and that's why it's still a little bit humid here, but mostly getting swept away now, and generally an average air mass is moving in. It's not particularly cold air mass, still coming off the Atlantic, still a lot of moisture around and energy, and that's why we're seeing quite a few showers, but associated with lower pressure, it doesn't allow those temperatures to rise as high. Into the next couple of days, we see even some cooler air appear through Sunday, really only down to sort of 5 degrees at 850 HPA, which isn't terribly cool, a couple of degrees below average. Into Sunday, we could start to see some warmer air encroach again from the southwest, but it really is only associated with that system that gives all that heavier rain through Monday. So it will be a bit humid on Monday, but likely to be accompanied by thick cloud and heavy rain. As we head into Tuesday, cooler in the north and west, slightly warmer in the south and the east, and slowly we start to see that wind direction change. You can start to see that warmer air slowly drifting in by Wednesday afternoon, and low teens at 850 HPA appearing in the southeast, and that will climb to around the mid-teens or maybe high teens by the end of the week. Still uncertainty with the exact peak of those upper air temperatures. 20 degrees is still showing on some runs, but has backed off, which will mean the risk of sort of mid-30s is pretty minimal now. Max we would get to, with the sort of pattern I'm seeing from the majority of models, is probably the low 30s, maybe 31 to 33 degrees is possible on some of the runs, but the most likely scenario, as I said at the start of the video, is widely low to mid-20s, with some days peaking into the high 20s or 30 degrees. Of course, we did see a couple of days ago, through Thursday, they're getting really quite warm up towards 28, 29 degrees in a few spots, but it really was a one-off day, whereas this period could last for a week or longer. Now, if you look at the max temperatures, you can see that we're going to see temperatures this afternoon, max 22 or 23 in the east, elsewhere high teens, maybe touching 20 degrees. Into Sunday, once again, you could just about see 23 or 24 in the best conditions in the east, further westwards, cooler. Into Monday, widely quite a bit cooler, maybe just about 21 or 22 in the east, but further westwards much more miserable, as we do have that heavy thundery rain moving in. And then finally into Tuesday and Wednesday. Tuesday, rising slightly, 24 or 25, more humid air coming up from the southeast, and finally into Wednesday again, more widespread low 20s, maybe peaking at 26 or maybe slightly higher. And remember, the upper temperatures around this point, around the 10 or 12 degree mark, and most on some members getting it to at least 15 degrees at 850 HPA across much of England and Wales, which would indicate temperatures around the high 20s, maybe 30 degrees at best. So if you do now have a look at that longer range, we've seen some big chopping and changing from the models, all still showing warm, if not hot conditions, but the chopping and changing is between the pressure pattern. Whether we see high pressure hold on, or whether we see low pressure trying to sweep in off the Atlantic. It won't make too much of a difference to the exact upper air temperatures. If we did see a low coming off the Atlantic, it would cool things down eventually, but with a lot of hot air wrapped in, it would make a little bit of a hit to the temperatures, but still, as I said, be in the low 20s or mid-20s in the south. But the risk we would see with that is quite a few heavy thundery showers is possible if low pressure mixes in. And you can see low pressure is involved at the moment, but it will slowly get pushed away over the coming hours. And as we head into early part of next week, the pressure rises. Around Tuesday evening, we start to see high pressure dominate. And by Thursday, we're seeing a southerly wind move in. And this is where the temperatures start to ramp up. Could see mid-20s widely, maybe even high 20s by Thursday, Friday. Now, this is where we get the uncertainty in around 5 or 6 days' time. We've got this low out in the Atlantic, high pressure to our east, and a south or southeasterly flow. Now, if we look at the upper air temperatures, you can see very warm areas wafting our way widely, the 10 degree isotherm in, 15 degree isotherm just in the channel. So temperatures rising quite rapidly, and we'd likely see through Friday afternoon with a 15 degree isotherm just about moving in. We'd see temperatures widely in the mid to maybe getting up towards the high 20s. Remember, the GFS is lower resolution than the UKV, so it would always be a degree or two off, especially reaching those peak temperatures. So we're looking widely around the 24 to 26 degree mark through much of England and Wales, and we'd be peaking around the 27 or 28 degree mark. And you see across parts of North France here, 30 to 33. That's in the hottest air, where the upper air temperatures are getting towards the higher teens, which has the risk of coming our way The only definitive answer we've got from the model is that the 15-degree isoform will get to us. This hottest air to our south, still a bit of uncertainty. But if you go to the European outlook again, you'll be able to see that as we head towards Friday into Saturday, there is the risk the low could nudge in off the Atlantic. Now, what this could mean is we see more showers and storms. In the east, we could just about see that hot air hang on. Further westwards, it could be quite a bit cooler, quite a bit more unsettled with that centre of the low, not too far off the shore of the Republic of Ireland. Now, it could make a bit of a split, or it could bring widely more unsettled conditions, and you can see this with the upper air temperatures. Still got a big plume of hot air in the east by Saturday, getting swept away into the North Sea, but still hanging on to upper air temperatures around the high single digits, if not towards the low teens. And of course, we'd see Cape with this as well. You can see significant Cape across Europe. The UK, we have some moderate amounts, but nothing too significant at this stage. You have to keep a very close eye on that, of course. As we head into the longer range, we're still in quite a humid southwesterly wind, so we'd still see lots of warm days, but it wouldn't be hot. It wouldn't be that sort of distinct high 20s or 30-degree heat, simply because the air mass is changing too much. It's a warm air mass. Most of the time we're above average, and even with the cooler sectors we'd be pretty much average. So it's a warm pattern with it coming from the west or southwesterly direction, but it wouldn't quite be as hot as the runs were showing recently. The big change from this GFS is right in the extended range, we actually see a big area of high pressure build in. Now, this cuts off the southerly winds, so it's not going to be ridiculously hot, but this would make a big change as we'd see minimal precipitation. The 2 metre temperatures wouldn't be crazy, but they'd be widely probably the low 20s. Again, these are the 6 p.m. temperatures, widely into the low 20s, stunning sunshine, and it'd be pretty decent. So GFS changing up a little bit here. Still showing very warm, if not hot, period of 7 days, but got a lot more unsettled conditions, especially further westwards. And then in extended range, as we head towards day 13, day 14, builds a massive area of high pressure to end August. As we head into the bank holiday weekend, that would be really quite nice if that did come off. Again, temperature's not exceptional, but definitely very dry. So GFS mixing it up a bit today. And there's GM. See what that is showing. Of course, we need cross-model consensus before we make any concrete claims for what could happen. We see the high pressure build in towards the end of next working week. Southeasterly wind build in, very warm Friday into Saturday, and you can see the high pressure holds on all the way to Sunday, and even here the low pressure makes some inroads, but it gets held off quite considerably by the big area of Scandinavian high pressure. Now, the only caveat is the hottest air just about gets pushed away by Sunday, which means it'll still be warm, it'll still be very humid in the east, but we're not likely to see those temperatures get up towards the 30s, or the sort of the mid-30s that we would see probably here across Netherlands and Belgium, right in that 20-degree plume. So the GM is a very hot run, maybe slightly more unsettled in the west and the far north, but for much of England and Wales, especially that eastern and southern portion, it would be very warm, if not hot. Not the hottest it could be, as the really ridiculously hot air is to our east, but it'd still be very, very warm. And if we do run it back, you can see we do get very warm air in by sort of Thursday time. If you look at those 2 metre temperatures, you'll be able to see by next Thursday temperatures widely into the low to mid 20s, rising for Friday up towards the high 20s, 27 or 28 again, most likely peaking a couple degrees higher, maybe 29 or 30, given this low resolution run. And as we head towards Saturday, slightly cooler further westwards, we see some slightly cooler air move in, but still 29 degrees in the southeast, so we could be seeing a big split here. And then to Sunday, again, mid to high 20s widely, not the hottest conditions because they've just been swept to our east, and you can see by Monday still high 20s in the east, but we're just about missing out on the widespread 30 to 35 degrees conditions which are across across the Channel and the North Sea towards the Netherlands, Belgium and parts of France and Germany. So just about missing the hottest conditions from the GEM run, but regardless, many areas in the south and the east seeing 5 to 7 consecutive days of 25 plus degrees, maybe peaking around 30 degrees. So I do think the GM is what the majority of runs are showing, where we're still warm, still hot, depending on how you sort of categorise it, still very humid, but just about missing out on that hottest air which stays to our east. And of course, further westwards, see some more rain. If we do put on the precipitation here, you can see mostly eastern areas do avoid it. Maybe could see a few thunderstorms. Again, you can't take these as gospel, as they are going to be much more overblown than a high resolution model would show. But as you can see, some really high precipitation rates here. So you can see some pop-up storms within the hot air, but majority of the persistent rain stays well out to our west. So we'll have to see what happens with that. If you look at the ECMWF run, again, high pressure building in, southeasterly flow comes in, similar to the GM, keeps that low pressure at bay, but eventually the low moves in. So kind of in between the GM and the GFS here, still showing really warm conditions, still getting that southerly wind in, but by sort of Sunday to Tuesday time, just about nudging that low pressure in from the west. Again, if we look at the upper air temperatures, by Friday, very warm, hot air mass, and actually even hotter than the GM by next Saturday, producing the 20-degree isotherm in that southeast corner, but lasts a matter of about 12 hours or so before getting swept away, staying very warm and humid, but slightly more unsettled in the west. Again, if we do compare the 2-meter temperatures from this ECMWF run, you can see next Thursday, again, we'll only be able to have a look at the 6 p.m. temperatures beyond next Thursday, but widely low to mid-20s by next Friday, getting up towards the mid to maybe high 20s for the top temperatures. Again, a low resolution, so it's going to be slightly lower than what we see in reality. By next Saturday, high 20s, touching 30 degrees for big swathes of England there. And then into Sunday, still very warm, but not quite as hot because we do see a slightly cooler set because of that low nudging in. And then finally into Monday, still very warm, widely low to mid-20s, maybe catching high 20s. So you can see from all the 3 main runs, it's looking highly likely much of England and Wales are in the low to mid-20s as we head towards next weekend, perhaps for 5+ days. Whether we go much higher than that, there still is a lot of uncertainty, and how progressive any rain and thunderstorms is in from the west, there is still a lot of uncertainty. So it's going to be very warm, it's going to be very humid, could even get quite hot, still some uncertainty on those top temperatures. And we'll have to keep an eye on the precipitation charts. Again, they're not going to be particularly accurate from this range, especially because a lot of the showers are going to be convective in nature, which are pretty much impossible to forecast more than about 3 or 5 days away. So we'll have to wait for the UKV runs in the next couple of days and other shorter range models, as there is the risk, of course, to see some big thunderstorms mixing in with this as well. And of course, there'll be some small features that are not even showing up on the models yet that will crop up, and that could give some big storms. Of course, wherever, if we do see a scenario that especially the GFS was peddling with that low pressure coming in off the Atlantic, there will be a point where the very hot air does meet a weather front or an area of significant instability associated with the low pressure, and in these regions we could see some real lively activity, but we'll have to wait another couple of days of seeing that. If you finish by looking at the ensembles, latest GFS ensemble is very warm, if not hot, into the longer range. We're generally around average, hovering slightly above, slightly below the next few days, and that would dictate high teens, low 20s for many areas until around the 16th, 17th, so around 5 days time, around Wednesday time. And then by Thursday and Friday, climb up, and by the 19th, by next Saturday, you can see the majority of ensemble members are at around the 15 to 20 degree isotherm. More towards the 15 point, maybe 16, 17 than were yesterday. And the day before, we had more runs lower, and we actually had more runs higher as well. More scatter generally, but they've more converged into the middle of what most ensemble members were showing over the last few days. So pretty good performance from the ensemble members. Has whittled down the hottest runs, not eliminated them completely, but whittled them down to a majority around the 15 or 16 degree mark. Again, would equate to temperatures, top temperatures around 30 degrees in the southeast, but widely low to mid-20s, maybe high 20s elsewhere. Those upper air temperatures do slowly drop off, but you can see they stay generally a couple of degrees above average, so you're still expecting, as I said, widely low to mid-20s, maybe topping high 20s, depending on the exact type of air mass we're in, and cloud and precipitation amounts. Definitely cropping up is some more significant precipitation here around next Friday, Saturday. We did see that on the ECMWF run with that real heavy rain. Again, there is the risk of some big thunderstorms at times. It would take a hit to the temperatures, but just a temporary hit, as the general outlook is still to remain in a very warm air mass. So have to keep a very close eye on that, but it could be quite a thundery spell at times through this warmer and hotter period. Definitely after that though, precipitation does reduce, but doesn't go to 0, again indicating that we are likely to be in that sort of in-between ground between that low pressure, high pressure. Not completely dry, but not completely wash out either. The Far East is most likely to see the best dry conditions, and the Far West is most likely to see the wettest conditions. It's going to be very much a sliding scale for how great it's going to be next week, or how good the weather is going to be next week. The 2 meter temperatures are generally pretty warm. You see widely as we head into the longer term, into the mid-20s, maybe high 20s, most of the summer averages. Again, these are the 12 p.m. and 6 p.m. temperatures, so not reaching the peak temperatures at 3 p.m. So by 12 p.m, most runs towards the end of the next working week into the following week around the mid-20s points. Again, peaking high 20s or touching 30 degrees. Some runs anonymously getting up towards the mid-30s, but again, those are few and far between. Dew points are going to be very high. Look at that, dew points rising by another couple of degrees back towards the mid to high teens. Again, just indicating that it's going to be very humid, going to feel very sticky. And again, that could even fuel those thunderstorms. And finally, if we have a look at the ECMWF ensembles, very similar, pretty much average for the next sort of 3 to 5 days. And then we're going to peak by next Thursday, Friday, Saturday time. You see high precipitation appearing on that point there where we do transition to that hottest air. More runs here getting up towards the high teens, maybe touching 20 degrees. So ECMWF, especially the operational run here, still indicating there is the risk we just about touch that hottest air. But most runs only show it for maybe 12 to 24 hours. So maybe one day of extreme heat. But it probably won't even propagate through the atmosphere too much. Maybe a 30-degree day. Most days we're looking at mid to high 20s at best. Precipitation is still fairly high beyond that, but remember there are more ensemble members here. But it's very similar in terms of temperature to the GFS, where we are generally still a good few degrees above average. And finally, the 2 meter temperatures, even higher as we progress through the end of next working week. Again, the average for ensemble members widely are around the 25-degree mark at the 12 p.m. point. So again, by 3 p.m, the peak of the day, we're looking at 27 or 28 degrees for most ensemble members here. And you can see even a few runs, including the operational run, by the 20th there, or 19th, 20th there, temperatures up to 30 degrees by midday. Those are the hottest runs with the 20-degree isotherm in. And remember, only a few runs are showing that. 30 degrees and low 30s is possible, but I do think most ensemble members, and the most likely scenario is high 20s with the risk of an isolated 30 in a few locations. So it's turning a lot warmer, a lot hotter as we head towards next week. Again, the temperatures, they don't sound that exceptional, but compared to what we've had recently, it's going to be a lot warmer. And the big thing with this is the humidity as well. It's going to be very humid, very strong southerly wind with that air coming up from the Mediterranean. So it's going to feel hot, sticky, and those temperatures are going to be well above average for the time of year. Will it be an official heat wave or not? Again, will depend on how up and down the temperatures are. You can see by the different runs, some days are very much up and down. So we have to keep a very close eye on it. But it is loud, looking definitely a lot warmer, a lot more sticky and humid, and actually could be really quite nice for areas in the east where we could just about miss any of those storms that could impact further western areas as we progress through. So anyway, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. If you are looking forward to some warm weather, very good news. It's looking pretty imminent now. Maybe as soon as Wednesday or Thursday, that hotter air could arrive, and it isn't likely to budge for a good 5+ days from that period. So a good stretch of warm weather. I know it's been pretty warm at the moment, but it only lasted a couple of days. This is looking like a proper good warm stretch. We just have to keep an eye on those top temperatures and how much precipitation we will see. So as I said, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed. Subscribe if you're new, and I'll see you again for another video soon.